Hey everyone, jumping on another podcast this morning, sitting down by myself here down in the office in the podcast studio, and was really just thinking this morning as I got done training a little bit about how I'm training after a big hunt. So many of you know I spent my whole summer preparing for a big hunt in Nevada. I actually had a double hunt, so I drew a really coveted archery elk tag. Got really lucky, had like 1.5% chance draw odds on that hunt. And then I actually drew a antelope hunt as well in Nevada. It was 2 units over, so it was close, like 150-mile drive. And my seasons actually overlapped. So I got to do both these hunts in one trip. But it was a big undertaking. So I spent, my entire summer preparing for this. Both from a physical standpoint to get ready for those hunts, to be physically ready, but also just from a gear standpoint, getting everything I needed for the backcountry hunting. I was going to be hunting solo, so I needed, some additional gear, making sure I had everything. But you spend so much time preparing and prepping for something that big. You have goal dates that a lot of times you come back to reality. It can be hard to have that same level of commitment, that same level of excitement towards your health and your training. And I've seen this time and time again in the fitness world when I'm training my clients. I see them, a lot of times there's goal dates in mind, whether it be a family vacation, whether it be a wedding, whether it be a honeymoon, you're going to the beach. And it's a big goal in mind, right? A lot of times it has to do with weight loss, or it has to do with how they look. So, which is cool. So those goal dates are great because they help us lock in. I also have had it on the fitness side of things with hunts. I have a guy I've trained for multiple moose hunts, and every single time he gets back, he takes that week off, comes back in. It's a struggle for him to get back in a little bit, and right away he's already looking. He has the luxury of being able to do this, looking for booking another hunt, because it's a struggle for him to stay committed with his food, with his workouts, unless he has goal dates. It's just his style. That is the toughest thing, even for athletes as they're preparing for contest, these big goal dates, and then how their training regimen should look like post goal date to continue on, to make sure we're not suffering in a performance standpoint, but also a mental standpoint. It's very key to continue to breathe that positivity. So that part is really important to me, just because it's very easy to get yourself into a slump, some of those depressive, not necessarily depression, but those kind of leniencies towards those depressive states. So it's very important to continue training. It just might not be at the same level. That intensity obviously needs to drop post-date. So you might go into a different phase, like a hypertrophy phase, where your reps are 8 and 10 reps, focusing on just putting muscle back on. So hitting, 4 sets of 8 to 10 reps of that muscle group, kind of that more older school bodybuilding mindset, which I know a lot of us aren't after necessarily from a performance standpoint on the mountain, but it's actually very important, especially after a rigorous time frame, whether it be a whole hunting season or an extended backcountry hunt, that we get back in the gym at a lower intensity level, and we promote muscle gain from what we had lost up on the mountain. So going through a small hypertrophy phase where that intensity is less, we're putting on muscle, and then fueling our bodies with food again to increase that chance of putting on muscle and recover, because recovery is such a huge portion of that. I know a lot of you probably come back from a mountain hunt or an extended season, and you can definitely tell, you're in walk shape, you're in hike shape, but when you pick up some weights in the gym, or you get on a bench press, or you're doing a push press, whatever that lift is, you might feel a little weaker. Totally normal, but go through that hypertrophy phase. A lot of times I'll go from a hypertrophy phase right into a strength phase and really just promote, muscle increase and then strength increase. Because what do those things do when I'm building consistency in the gym again? Even if it's not at this crazy intensity level, it's just building that consistency And what does exercise do for us? It makes us feel really good, right? It breeds positivity. It releases endorphins. It makes you feel really good. We never leave the gym, and are like, dang it, why did I go to the gym today? That was terrible. And I hear that from my clients all the time. They come in and they're like, man, I didn't want to come in today. I'm so glad I came. Never once have I had a client tell me over the last 9 years that I really wish I wouldn't have come to the gym today. It just doesn't happen, right? That positive release of endorphins, the positivity, creativity we get from exercise always wins. And so it's very important that after big goal dates, when that excitement level is high for months on end, maybe a year, whatever that is, to not escape what we did to get to that point. So if eating a certain breakfast every day was part of that, we need to get back to that. If hitting the gym 4 or 5 days a week was part of that, we need to get back to that and continue that, but just look at what we're doing in there slightly different. Look at it from some recovery. Look at it from putting on muscle, building back strength. So that was a little backstory. I got some good allergies going on to this week. I was crawling around the weeds in the dirt with a buddy archery hunting this weekend, and they flared up. I think the smoke is finally out here pretty heavy too from the wildfires, so I don't think that's helping. But that was a little backstory, and this is what I'm specifically doing. So I got back from that hunt, drove all the way back. So there's that extended sitting as well all the way from Nevada to South Dakota. So a lot of sitting. So this is what I'm doing. The next day I get back. I'm not doing a lot that next day. I'm focusing on rehydrating because a lot of times I'm traveling, not drinking enough fluids. So I'm getting my body rehydrated. I might also hit a few stretches in the house, or I might go out to the garage gym and hit a few stretches, hit a little bit of hip mobility, but it's nothing crazy because my muscles definitely can feel it from being out in the mountains and being dehydrated and my food, my glycogen levels being depleted for sure. So I'm not exercising yet. I'm taking a couple days off. That's what I did when I got back. I took 2 days off, focused on food, rehydration, just hanging out. That third day I went to the garage gym and I hit this lightweight body weight circuit. I did push-ups, I did body weight squats. I think I did some pull-ups that day. I tell you what, I got a really fast muscle pump and I was burning pretty good. I was actually cramping up a little bit, so I knew I still wasn't really rehydrated, so I focused again, getting in more electrolytes that day, continuing to hydrate, but I felt really good. I felt good to get everything moving again. So once I'm back in the gym and I'm hitting some weights, I'm going lighter for a few days and just getting the movements in, reactivating those muscles. And then I'm really focused at the end of my workouts of hitting some stretching and mobility. So I'm hitting hip mobility stretches, ankle mobility, lower back, hamstrings, lumbar and thoracic spine. So I'm taking a good 15 minutes at the end and just going through those mobility movements, followed with some foam rolling. Because at this point I want to feel good and safe again. I don't want to, at this point, it's the first hunt of the year. It wasn't my only hunt of the year. So I want to make sure that I don't just jump right into it. Even though I'm still in shape, it's a great way if the muscles aren't activating the same way as when you're in the gym every day. Your core is very activated. Your glutes and hamstrings are very activated. And so making sure that those are up to par and firing again is key for me, not to pull back and just be suffering from that for a few weeks as I'm going into my next hunt. So my key is be feeling great, don't get injured. I have a lot of season left. So from there I did that for a few days and I got back into a full scheduled week then. For that next week, all I did was hypertrophy.